afternoon, everyone. My name is Amir Sean Patterson Howard, Mayor of the City of Mount Vernon. And today we stand in agreement with the United States Department of Justice as they have launched an investigation into potential civil rights violations by our members of our, patterns and practice of violations, civil rights violations by the Mount Vernon Police Department. As a candidate, I ran on the platform of police reform. And the first appointment that I made in January, actually on January 2nd, my first day in office, was Commissioner Glenn Scott. Commissioner Glenn Scott has over 25 years of service in local and federal law enforcement. He is a reformist, and I believe that he would be the leader to bring the Mount Vernon Police Department forward. The police commissioner came in on day one, reviewing cases and reviewing complaints and uncovering information. In the spirit of transparency and transformation, this is information that we handed over. Welcome the Department of Justice again, coming in with their resources to help us as a community to hasten our police reform efforts here. Mount Vernon is a small community. We're 4 square miles, and we don't have some of the resources that larger departments have. And so this really just helps us to expand our bandwidth, to look into concerns that we may have had, and to uncover things that we may not even know about. And so again, we welcome it. On February 18th, 2021, Special Counsel William Wagstaff III was brought in to prosecute police disciplinary hearings. Again, since day one of my police administration, I've been working with my leadership to develop new policies, implement training, to reorganize the police department. Hundreds and hundreds of hours were dedicated to meeting with the community, developing these newly implemented policies with our police department and procedures. We welcome, again, I say we welcome the oversight and any technical assistance that the Department of Justice can provide us. Again, this will only serve to enhance our bandwidth and speed in which we can implement holistic police reform and build sustainable trust within our communities. We're committed to transparency and transformation. I want to make it clear that we recognize and we stand with the hard work of so many of our good officers from our city who have persevered under very difficult conditions and situations to demonstrate their commitment to good policing, despite being the lowest paid police department in the county and the most under-resourced police department in our region. We look forward to the results of the DOJ investigation and the opportunities to transform our police department's policies and practices. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my commissioner of police, Commissioner Glenn Scott.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Police Commissioner Glenn Scott. And I would just like to say we had a very productive meeting with the Department of Justice. I welcome our Department of Justice partners with helping us reform the Mount Vernon Police Department. I believe that most of the past practices have been eliminated, that they are investigated, and that we will actually have a positive review. I welcome them to come in because they have new advances in policing. They have professional policies, and I'm very interested to see how they review our current policies and help us improve them. This is not a criminal investigation. This is an investigation into civil rights, use of force practices. This is something that we are actually looking forward to because I reviewed you guys' use of force policy when I first got on, to encourage de-escalation and duty to intervene. They talked about evidence collection and things like that. We did our records management policy and evidence collection policies since I've been here. So I'm interested to know how we stack up against the Department Justice recommendations. So as I can only say, I've been waiting for this for a while, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just wish it wasn't this time of year when everybody's on Christmas vacation, but we will try to provide all the manpower we can to help them with their investigation and determinations. Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to ask for our special counsel, Mr. William Flagstaff III, to come forward and share with you what his role has been for almost the past year here in the city of Mount Vernon in regards to our Mount Vernon Police Department. Mr. Flagstaff?
Thank you, Mr. Madison. Since February, when I was initially appointed to this position, I understood clearly from the mayor what the assignment was, and that she was not going to tolerate misconduct in the police department. Since that time, I've been working with the police commissioner, internal affairs, top executives at the police department, as well as the corporation counsel, Brian G. Johnson, to investigate misconduct. And I can tell you that it has certainly been helpful to have the Department of Justice since earlier this year. It's no mystery that the city of Mount Vernon is currently in a situation with financial challenges. Our police department certainly could use the resources, and we're glad that they're here to help us. The good police officers should not take my appointment as an indictment. We recognize how hard you work, and this is not about being anti-police, but we are anti-corruption, we're anti-violation of civil rights, and if you are one of those bad officers, know that time's up, and that I'm going to aggressively investigate and prosecute any officer that is violating the rights of the citizens here in the city of Mount Vernon, and we welcome this. Thank you.
As I stated, this administration hit the ground running in January of 2020, committed to police reform. And before there was any calls on a state or federal level for massive police reform, it's something that Mount Vernon implemented. And one of those persons that has been brought to help us transform our department internally, as well as build relationships and have trust and transparency with the community, is our Deputy Commissioner, Jennifer Lackford. I believe the Deputy Commissioner, Jennifer Lackford, is probably one of the first civilian deputy police commissioners appointed in the country. Her background is a history of police reform, criminal justice reform, and building relationships, and providing human services, and just an array of transformative change throughout her career. And so with that stated, I'm going to ask our Deputy Commissioner, Jennifer Lackford, to please come forward and just share with you some of the things that she is also doing.
I'd like to echo the comments of my colleagues because this is an experience that a journey we have been on for the last year and a half. I've been with the department. As you know, I've been on reform issues and to work on listening to the issues of the community and how we can move forward. I'm excited to hear that we have made significant changes because people feel that there is access behind the walls of the department, which is something that was a challenge prior to. I can say in this administration, we're opening up the doors, we're inviting people in, we're having conversations that we've never had before. And so we are welcoming the opportunity to work with and partner in a way that we understand what the community needs, what we need to do to answer those calls, and how we can be a better department. As Deputy Commissioner over Special Initiatives, whatever the outcomes of the reports will be, it will be my job along with the Commissioner, our Corporation Counsel, our Mayor, every other top executive of the city to work on strategies moving forward to how we feel as a community and have path forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Deputy Commissioner Lackford. Are there any questions at this time?
Mayor, it seems counterintuitive that a city that's 60% black, that's had only black mayors since 1905, and many black police commissioners departments over that same period would be facing this kind of civil rights. Given the long legacy of Black leadership in this building and in the Blackwood building, what is happening?
Well, again, I can tell you when we came in January of 2020, we were met with a stack of complaints, civilian complaints, and based on that, many of them coming, out of 1 or 2 units, and our police commissioner, Glenn Scott, at that time, disbanded those units, did more retraining, writing up new policies and procedures, and created new units, reorganized the police department, and we brought in new leadership as our chief of police, Marcel J. Olivier, as I said, our deputy commissioner Lackard, to look at things. Look, just because you have Black leadership does not always mean that you have leadership that is committed to transforming police departments. I think the status quo has been in existence for far too long, and that is one of the issues that I ran and that I said I was committed. I don't think it's any secret that I have been very involved in justice reform initiatives over the past decade or two, as well as my police commissioner and my deputy police commissioner. So this is why we're here. We can't talk about what was done and why it was not done in the past. We're not tethered to the past. What we are tethered to is solving challenges, creating reform and transformative policies, building trust within our community, and ensuring that Mount Vernon has a world-class, even though we're a small community, but we have a world-class police department that is policing and providing public safety to a community that not only wants but deserves.
Hi, Mayor. 2 questions for you. First is, I believe the white population of Mount Vernon is something around like 14%, but the white population of the police department is much higher. I think it's about half. Why is that? Why do minority officers or civilians not apparently want to join the department? Or what other, how do you do that?
So as we've already stated, really, that Mount Vernon Police Department is the lowest paid police department in this region. Our police department probably had a higher percentage of Black and brown officers, right? We're probably one of the most diverse police departments in this country. But over the last year and a half, especially in the face of reform and other departments being challenged to diversify their departments, we've lost some of our best trained and very committed officers who are Black and brown officers who took opportunities in communities that are quieter, but can also pay them $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more a year than we do. But also historically, policing in the Black community is not a career that is lifted up high. And so we have not had a police exam since 2016, police recruitment efforts since 2016. 2020, because of COVID, there were no recruitment efforts and no academies, but we did have a test in May of this year. They've gone through their physical and their swear in a group of 20 plus officers from Mount Vernon at a large rate of Black and brown officers. We will start the academy in January. Again, we are rebuilding a department that has been depleted by transfers, and we're looking forward to making sure that these are Mount Vernon residents that we're able to secure proper pay as well as resources and build trust in the community that will help people want to become police officers. I don't think that it's a local issue. This is a national issue. So if you look in Washington, D.C. or Chicago or Atlanta and other communities that are predominantly Black and brown, I don't think you're going to find the percentage of Black and brown residents being here within the police department. So this is not a local issue. It's absolutely a national issue.
And the second question was, my news organization, the USA Today Network, has submitted a FOIL request to your city for the disciplinary records of officers in the police department. I don't believe we've gotten any response from the city. Will you commit to providing the disciplinary records of Mount Vernon police officers?
Absolutely. We'll commit to you the same thing that we committed to the Department of Justice. As we said, Mount Vernon is an under-resourced city. And so right now we have a very limited department, we have limited administrative resources. And we will explain to the Department of Justice that we look forward to them coming in, but a lot of our paperwork is paper.
Yeah.
Not necessarily digitalized. So, we're here to cooperate. Unfortunately, it takes us a little bit longer because we don't necessarily have the resources to commit to it, but we are committed
Can we
to it.
talk about that further?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
One of the Commissioner. Obviously, of course, looking over this department, you had spent many years within the department during your time prior to being Commissioner. Do you recognize, did you observe that there were issues, or is it something that you didn't recognize that you should go for that?
What I recognized was that after being gone for 6 years, I first came in the door and assumed that things ran as they used to. And I was very disappointed to find out that most of the structure that we had before I retired was gone. Okay, so there was a lot of issues where they had streamlined things, but by streamlining things, they had taken out the accountability. So I came in and really there was a ton of complaints, there was a ton of reviews that needed to be done. And as I addressed the complaints or the use of forces, I saw that policies needed to be updated. And I always said, well, excuse me, I have two incidents. These two incidents would have never happened if we had proper procedures in place. And then I would put a procedure in place. So by the time reform came about in 6/2020, I had addressed probably 80–90% of everything that needed to be addressed when the reform committees came in. So I was very pleased about it. So as you answer your questions, things have changed.
Anything else? Any other questions? So I'm going to call for our Corporation Counsel, Mr. Brian G. Johnson, who's the Corporation Counsel for the City of Mount Vernon. And I'll call for Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian G. Johnson, Corporation Counsel, City of Mount Vernon. US A today, gentlemen, I'd like to respond. I have a little bit more insight into your forward question there. I do understand that the request for police disciplinary records is a highly controversial. The area of law is particularly unsettled. I'm sure you're aware that many police departments have not really responded to that because the requests are voluminous. And
But for the law, they say you can't deny.
I understand that. I understand that there's also some movement, and you have not really gotten that from any municipalities yet. We have the request. We will take a look at them. I'm sure that news agencies will do what they feel they need to do in order to get that information. But I do want to walk back that promise to you at this time.
You want to
Because I understand the magnitude of the request and whether or not the city has the ability to respond to that request at this time.
Sir, you said you want to walk it back.
Well, I understand that you asked the mayor, so we absolutely do intend to comply with the law to the extent that we have, but it is not just a simple request as you indicated. It is a voluminous request, and I don't think we've gotten responses from any municipality. Right. Okay, so I just wanted to be clear.
Okay. Or are you modeling yourself then off of the most egregious public records violators in the state?
We're absolutely not modeling ourselves off of this. What we said from the very beginning is that we have an under-resourced city with lots of challenges, that we don't have the bandwidth of some other communities. And even the communities that do have that bandwidth, we have not necessarily received responses. We said we are committed to complying with the law as it exists and as it will evolve, but also we have expressed and been very clear that we have a bandwidth challenge. Okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So if there are no other questions, thank you so much for coming. And we look forward to continuing to work with the Department of Justice as they move their investigation forward. As we said, we're happy that we're here. because this will allow us to move our police reform forward quickly and in a much more strategic and intentional way, as more bandwidth is provided not only by our federal partners, but by our county partners. We're not just looking at issues of compliance here, but we also see the DOJ coming in as being a partner and providing us with technical assistance as well as moving police reform efforts forward. Thank you so much.